Hey guys, today I'm going to be doing a commentary over our world first Mythic Kil'jaeden kill. If I can find the video. Okay, here it is. So if I start it up, guys, I did one of these similar to in the past on Gul'dan, and you guys seem to like it a lot, so we're going to do it again here. You can see me starting off here in the wrong spec, guys. I am spec feral there. You can see the big recall popping up and spamming on the screen. The reason I swapped to feral there is to get the agility food buff from the feast. It's a really annoying thing in the game right now, whereas a tank you need to respec the DPS to get the proper food buff and then spec back. And so the recall is just there to obviously make sure I don't accidentally start the fight in the wrong spec, guys, because obviously on progress you're doing so many pulls, you just don't want to waste any pulls at all from you being in the wrong spec. Believe me, it can happen when you start raiding for many hours a day. So I would definitely recommend you guys get some kind of check if you're a tank to tell you if you're in the wrong spec. You guys will know what I'm talking about. If you've ever end up pulling the boss in the wrong spec, then you basically have wasted the entire time of the raid, and that just should not be happening, obviously. Yeah. Here you can actually see me standing next to the portal, guys. I'm actually practicing mouse over thing. So basically there's a key binding. I actually really can't remember what it's under in the key binding section, guys, but you can basically bind the interact with mouse over to a certain key on your keyboard. I bound it to shift mouse wheel, so basically I would just press shift and spam up and down on my mouse wheel, and basically what that does is it sends multiple interactions to the server over a very quick period of time, so it's much more effective than just clicking on the portal. So right now I think I'm just checking. I think there's probably some voice comms going on, and I'm just like mouse overing on the portal, checking that everything works. Am I actually going to use that? I don't think I do. Okay. Yeah, because the portal was too close to the boss. Ah, yeah, that's probably why. Okay, so we're getting ready here, guys. We are gonna be pulling soon. Again, I guess I don't need to talk through absolutely everything, guys. But yeah, the reason obviously you go to cat form to bear form is so that you can start the fight on 20 rage. Just going through some absolute basics here, guys. Two basics, only the basics so far. I'm playing in the challenge mode bear skin, just where it's playing in the laser bear. The reason for that is because we want people in the raid group to instantly recognize when it's me that's moving or when it's just right that's moving. And this comes into play big time when soaking the big meteors. It's just a visual thing, really, yeah? So I'm soaking the first meteor here, guys. I'm using 2 stacks of iron fur because the meteor does hit you for physical damage. And the 2 stacks of iron fur, you can survive it with 1. But, I'm just capping on rage there, so I might as well minimize the damage by using 2 stacks. And here I am just spamming AoE out on these erupting reflections. Basically, as a druid with balance affinity, you can obviously hit all the reflections by standing close to the middle with both thrash and swipe. So you're just spamming out your AoE. Now I want to tanking the boss, dodging the orbs. This is moving so fast, guys, moving so fast. Keeping up the iron fur, of course. Now we've got fel claws, guys. Now fel claws we're going to handle with bristling fur. Bristling fur is absolutely perfect for fel claws. You hover up every single time. You just basically spam out iron fur, get yourself almost armor capped, and at the same time you're also using basically frenzied regen every single time as well. Especially with the 4-part bonus, tier 20 4-part bonus, you can you obviously the cooldown reduction on frenzied regen is reduced the lower you are when you use the frenzied regen, so you use it right after the Falclaw hit. I'm tanking the ad right now. We missed a little bit with me charging back on the ad. We'll talk about that in a second. Okay, now I'm taking the boss. Okay, so knockbacks coming, guys. And you can see that I'm dealing with the first 2 knockbacks of this fight with the Druid interrupt. With balance affinity, there's obviously a range on it, an increased range, and that kind of acts as like a mini charge. What you need to be careful of here, guys, is that you are, only hitting that interrupt button after you get knocked back. Obviously, when you have a charge like a warrior, let's say, it's common to just spam the charge key before you actually get the knockback, so that as soon as you get hit by the knockback, you instantly charge back because you've got minimum range on charge. Obviously, as a druid, you can interrupt straight away, so you actually need to wait until you get knocked back and then you use the charge. So you do need to be paying quite a bit of attention for that. Okay, so we're going into the second phase now, guys. I'm trying to get my rage up. This is actually strange. This is like one of the only tries where I didn't actually get my rage up. Again, the reason for getting the rage up is because we're trying to make sure I have 2 iron fur stacks on this. You'll see me just using 1 here. See, as you can see, no problem to survive the damage. Hit for about an extra 2 million from the previous time. And now we're obviously just doing the orb bounce around. I guess there's not much to talk about in this phase. You're kind of just following whatever the raid leader calls. But I guess one thing you can do as a druid here is you could, in theory, just keep spamming abilities that actually increase your rage. Like, for example, you could keep on using Thrash on cooldown here, guys, and that will obviously, over time, it will increase your rage count. You can obviously hit the boss as well when he goes across the room. The danger of doing that, though, is obviously you're going to proc your trinkets, you could proc your concordance and stuff like that. So in general, I do not hit the boss at all. But I know that Just Wait, you know, he spams up his rage. Me personally, I handle these second meteors with the Barkskin and my trinket, my exoskeleton. So you can see it going up right now. With my Magnum Opus as well, guys. The absorb there was like 2.6 million. With Barkskin up as well, it was easy to soak. And that cooldowns are going to come back up when I need them later in phase 2. As a tank, you know, you're always planning when exactly during the fight you're going to use your cooldowns. And this was one of the times I planned to use those two in conjunction. So I didn't need to use like the rage tactic with Iron Fur and stuff, right? But what I'm trying to say to you guys is that if you want to use Iron Fur on the second meteors there as well, you can, you know, build rage even though you're not attacking the boss by just using Thrash. So we're going into the phase 2, and Just Wait's going to start tanking. And what, again, I'll be soaking one of the large meteors here, guys. The reason we use 2 Guardian Druids and why Guardian Druids are so strong in this fight is not just because they can obviously handle the Foul Claws quite well and the fact that they've got charge to handle some knockbacks, but yes, they also bring the Roar, which is exceptionally good on this fight. It basically means that with 2 Guardian Druids, we had a Roar every single meteor phase. And although meteors have been nerfed, I think that at the time we killed this boss, there was 8 small ones, 2 big ones. It's now 6 small ones, 2 big ones. It's obviously still extremely useful. You will minimize wipes if you do end up winning, you know, 2 Guardian Druids. Having a Roar every single time, you know, it minimizes the chance that someone doesn't reach a meteor soak on time. Okay, so here I'm actually getting the tank ad on me again, guys. And okay, this is going to spawn. I'm just going to tank it for a little bit until Just Wait deals with his Foul Claws. Then he will take it off me, and the raid will bring it down. What should happen here is that basically when this ad dies, guys, you get a massive debuff on you that ticks for an absolute ton of shadow damage. Generally, you should use a cooldown for this. There's a knockback coming as well. I'm quite close to the edge. This is a little bit dangerous, guys, because even though I'm going to get dispelled, you see the debuff on me now? I use my survival instincts on this to minimize the damage from it. I try to position myself so that I don't instantly just get knocked off the platform, right? I moved a little bit around the boss there, so that the knock, you know, it would take longer for me to fly off the platform. Because like I said, even though what's going to happen is I'm going to get dispelled and the whole raid gets pulled to me, if I'm standing that close to the edge, then it can happen that the raid gets pulled to me and I'm actually off the edge before the dispel goes through and the raid just falls into the Twisting Nether. So that's something to be aware of, guys. Don't be too close to the edge, even though it's going to be handled with a dispel. And so basically we're kind of just rinsing and repeating here as the Guardian Druid. You basically, if you're not tanking the boss, you're generally looking to help support on the smaller meteors, and of course we have a big meteor assignment as well, but that's kind of limited by by whether or not you have Foul Claws active. Now, I guess I should say something important. I think we're going to see it here as well, is that one way you can actually avoid the knockback on a Guardian Druid is by using your artifact ability, Rage of the Sleeper. So you see the knockback timer in the middle of the room right now, in the middle of my screen right now. I'm using Rage of the Sleeper. You can see it up there on my character, and the knockback goes through, and I completely ignore the knockback. Yeah, even though I was getting ported there, it just the way that I use the cooldowns again in phase 2, guys. I have obviously Rage of the Sleeper up at the same time as Foul Claws, which, you know, is just even extra protection. And it obviously avoids knockback completely, and that's obviously something you use a lot throughout the entire fight because there's so many knockbacks. So here again, I am soaking one of the large meteors before taking the boss off of Just Wait, and we're going to be dealing with the erupting reflections again. Again, it's just a case of AoEing these down. Again, Druid should be pretty strong for this in regards to I guess your tanking options. They do have a lot of AoE in a wide range as well. This is just a simple case of dodging the orbs. This is also the second time that I am using my Barkskin and my exoskeleton alongside the bristling fur guys on those Foul Claws. The reason I'm using the Barkskin and exoskeleton at that point alongside the bristling fur is that, yes, there is a lot going on during the fight at that point. Like, your healer's going to be occupied dealing with other stuff and also dodging orbs themselves. You know, there's movement involved. So basically, it's like an extra layer of security and damage reduction to make sure, you know, I don't just accidentally fall over. That's kind of just like okay. Then we just saw a knock. That's like, I think, the one knock in phase 2 that we actually have to deal with in regards to a charge. Again, it's just a case of as the the Druid tank, you're trying to position yourself so that you get knocked backwards and you can just then charge straight to the boss, right? You don't want to get knocked through the boss, because then you can obviously have the issue that you actually interrupt and the charge may not go off properly. That's happened before. You just want to be knocked backwards away from the boss. You just want to pay attention to where the knockback's coming from, so that you're able to react to it, and obviously be paying attention to the timer going down, because as a Druid, you have a very, very small window to actually hit that charge, the interrupt that is. Obviously, we don't have wild charge because we're playing with the improved cooldown reduction on Roar. So we are actually going to be transitioning out of phase 2 soon, guys, which is going to bring us into the darkness phase. I think there's a little bit more for us to deal with right now. I think we're stopping the DPS. This is, I think, one of the last soaks. Yeah, the last soak I'll be doing in this phase. Again, you can see this is the 3rd time I'm using my cooldowns, guys, bark skin, and I shoot, yeah, exactly, the bark skin and the absorb. So that's the 3rd time I use bark skin, basically when I'm soaking the big meteor, because obviously that's going to land, do impact damage, and leave me with a dot at the same time as tanking the boss. That's obviously, you know, you want to have some extra damage mitigation up at that point. A couple of stacks of iron for bark skin, the exoskeleton. Basically, a lot of people were asking why I was using the exoskeleton, not the trinket from Desolate Host, for example, and it's just literally because I didn't get the trinket from Desolate Host. But at the same time, while progressing in this fight, I just got very used to the timings of, you know, obviously using the exoskeleton. It synced up very well with the times I actually wanted to use it, right? I always had it up when I needed it the most. The cooldown synced really well. So here in the darkness phase, guys, we are just going around. We're just AoEing as much as possible. There was a stun assignment. I was actually playing with Mighty Bash, so you just saw me using it on that mob there. Now, how we're going to deal with this knockback, guys, this is where we use the little interact with mouse over trick. We wait for 0.5 seconds on the knockback, and then we click on the Warlock portal. Since we killed the boss, there's actually an even easier way of doing this, guys, and what you can actually do is you can actually set the Warlock portal as your focus target, and yeah, you can actually interact with it that way, so there's never a chance that you can't interact with it. Now, I don't know if you guys caught that, but I actually used Rage of the Sleeper on the second knockback there in the darkness phase, because the way we do this boss, guys, is we get 2 knockbacks in the darkness phase, and obviously if I've already used the Warlock portal, that means I get a debuff and cannot use it again. So the way that I deal with the second knockback would be Rage of the Sleeper. Obviously if I was thinking clearly on this pool, I should have done it the other way around, right? You want to get Rage of the Sleeper on cooldown first, so you would obviously, probably use Rage of the Sleeper first, follow up with a portal on the second one, and then if you do happen to get a third one, guys, you always have charge. Now, this obviously depends on your strategy with the guild, the guild you're in. If you're planning to do more than 2, then you might want to change that order a little bit, because in theory, as a druid, you could probably easily survive 4 if you get lucky with the charges, right? You don't, because it's in the darkness phase, you don't really know which direction knockback's coming from, so charge can be a little bit hard. But it would be possible to obviously do 4 with charge, then portal, then Rage of the Sleeper, then charge again. But anyway, yeah, so let's go back to this phase, guys. We're in the final phase of the fight. Basically, we're looking around, seeing where the safe spots are for the demonic obelisks. Now, what's important in this phase, guys, is the demonic obelisk does do a lot of damage. You can see the countdown coming in my on my UI right now. But basically, as a guardian druid and with cooldowns, you can survive this with like let's say survival instincts. It will still knock you unless you have your Rage of the Sleeper up, guys. And the cooldown on Rage of the Sleeper, it actually syncs up very well with the 2 tanks that are tanking in the last phase. I think you will pretty much always have it up on like the dangerous obelisks while you're actually tanking. So yeah, again, 2 guardian druids for this, pretty strong. As long as we manage our cooldowns correctly, we should effectively be able to stand wherever we want on the platform and be basically immortal. I mean, to be fair, when we're progressing in this fight, obviously the tanks are still looking around, trying not to get hit. But, sometimes it's a case of, you don't want to put Foul Claws in the rage, you don't want to risk anything, just use your cooldowns and stand on it, so to speak, yeah? So here you have me moving the boss, I'm looking for a safe spot, and let's see what I use. I've got Foul Claws and Explosion coming up. I use my Ursol, I use my Rage of the Sleeper, I use my Bark Skin, I use my Bark Skin, I use my Bristling Fur, I use my Trinket, because I thought I was safe, guys. I just wanted to be 100% sure, because back when we killed this boss, it started at 5, then it went up to 6, then it went up to 7 obelisks. And even though you look around, you're seeing like all the obelisks around you. You never know for 100%, if it's going to be a safe spot or not. You don't want to wipe the raid at this point because the tank falls over. And obviously in this last phase, guys, when you've got the pull in from the rift, Guardian Druid's Roar is extremely good again. We have our raid leader marking a safe spot there. I taunt the boss off just when he gets 5 Fellclaw stacks, and the boss is back on me. This orb was obviously a mistake. It wasn't meant to come out that far. But yeah, we're just basically taking it easy, guys, here. This phase, actually, even with the obelisks, from a tanking point of view, it's extremely easy because, you know, like I mentioned, if you have your cooldowns ready, which you obviously want to manage throughout the fight, then you can easily survive the obelisk hits. It's just a case of whether you have Rage the Sleeper to avoid the knockback or not. Now, the tanks are actually soaking the darkness every single time because on Mythic difficulty, there's actually a limit to how many people can go in the Rift. That's the reason why you see me and Just Wait standing out. And again, to be honest, it's not really worth mentioning. The damage is not really that high. The burst even is not even that high, so you don't need to use anything really on it. So let's see, we've got... This is actually the final obelisks that are going to be spawning in the fight. And look, we've got... this is a bit of a panic mode. I go down to like 0.0%, guys. I'm shouting out for heals. So here we're using everything, yeah? We're using the survival instincts. And actually, I noticed there, guys, I did actually use my Rage the Sleeper. This is actually the first time we obviously progress this far into the fight. And the timings, you know, I wasn't 100% used to the cooldown timings. And so somehow with all the adrenaline pumping, I managed to leave that Rage the Sleeper unused there right at the end of the fight. But yeah, basically I still used the survival instincts and every other cooldown I had available. And obviously with the knockback, I was able to just charge back the boss and bring it down. But yeah, I mean, I feel as if I've been talking non-stop, and I feel as if there's so much more I guess I could say about the fight. But that is an overview of the fight from my point of view, guys. Yeah, this is obviously a one take. It's, I don't know if this was any good, guys. You can let me know in the comments if you liked it. And yeah, thanks for watching, and see you guys on stream.